Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of the Bottoms Up podcast. I am your host, Taylor, and I am here with my very fashionable guest, Jess Osborn, creator of GenderChill, which is a gender-bending fashion show that's hosted right now at FIU, but was originally at my alma mater of UM. So thank you, Jess.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. I guess you want to introduce yourself a little bit, just tell me about yourself.
So my name is Jess Osborn. I'm the founder, producer, owner of GenderChill. It's a gender justice fashion show, and I started it for people like myself, similar to myself, but honestly pretty much for everyone. It's about a freedom of bodily expression. Everybody, literally everybody and everybody is valid. I have, lots of my own insecurities, especially body dysmorphia or just the acceptance of my body because it's not the norm of the world, high fashion models, super sleek, European looking, super thin or muscular like men are. And I'm also queer and trans. We look very different to folks. I'm very androgynous presenting. Some folks think I'm a man. Some folks clearly can see that I'm a woman, born as a female type of thing. So I just wanted a space that made people feel safe and secure to freely express themselves. I feel like when I find myself in those spaces, I flourish. My personality comes out. I feel more comfortable to be more authentic with myself and then with the folks around me. And so I definitely made this for myself and for my friends. But as the show has progressed, I want to do it for the world.
Yeah.
It's a fun show. We have a lot of fun, and it's also, I just think, part of my whole life journey of part of my life journey is I want to contribute to world peace. So this is it. Here you go, world. This is my little corner over here. Come enjoy us. We're gonna have fun. We have good energy here.
I love it. Also, just for context, right now we are at a restaurant called Pinch in kind of the Miami Shores area. One of my favorite lunch spots. They also have cats that are for adoption, and one of them is literally rubbing against my leg right now.
I think she likes you. I think she's telling you something.
I'm very allergic.
Oh no.
Yeah. But no, otherwise, because I walk through here sometimes, when I'm going to work, and I look for the cats every time.
Yeah.
I like when animals approach me, it makes me feel very good. I want to have a Snow White moment. Otherwise, I take it very personally. But no, it's interesting you say that about fashion as a form of expression and almost making you feel more autonomous in your own body, because I've had the exact same experience. My grandfather is actually a dressmaker, so fashion has always been a really huge part of my life, and it's a huge part of my identity actually, and it even factors into this podcast and the way that I like to set up the visual portion, which unfortunately we don't have today. But
good.
we'll do a part 2 for
Sounds
sure.
Good. Sounds good.
So before we hop into it, let's do horoscopes.
Okay, let's go.
I will go ahead and read mine and get this one out of the way. I swear, I don't even look at my horoscope unless it is for this podcast.
No, yeah, they're really fun. Like I said earlier, it's funny not being super into it, but you meet a friend who's super into it and they're like, oh, that's why this is happening. Mercury in retrograde, or I don't even know what that is. I'm yeah, let's just blame it on that. That's fine.
No, yeah.
Because we're all human, we make mistakes. Mm-hmm. That's all I got.
Some people say that it's God's plan. Mercury in retrograde is basically the same thing.
Yes,
right?
Exactly, yeah. The universe has its ways, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. My horoscope for today, December 7th, says, feed yourself. Are you looking for a conquest? Today you feel torn between the pressure to stay when you want to run and your love of a change of scenery. It's good to slow down if that's what you need. Just make sure you're not doing that thing where you clench your jaw and then start to believe that discomfort is the end of the world. Expand the definition of who you are. I'm gonna be honest, I think I've read this exact same horoscope from CoStar before. So I'm not gonna throw any shade. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And I will be feeding myself. I will be feeding myself whatever that spicy drink was, and I'll be getting a burger today.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's funny that it's more than once. This might be the second time at least that it's maybe the universe is like, hello, like knock knock.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just denying reality, and I want to be like super delusional and just ignore it.
And I think that's a normal coping method that a lot of us use for sure. We're not always ready to push forward. You know, there's space for rest, right, and contemplation for sure.
You're so validating.
I don't read horoscopes as much, but I have this oh man, what's it called, The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beattie. It's like for Codependence Anonymous. I'm a member. I've gone through a lot of traumatic stuff, been abused as a child and things like that. So you grow, you learn, and I landed in this spot. It's a great book. So there's that book it has like, you know, a little affirmation every day. It's kind of like a horoscope, but it's for every day of the year. And sometimes I don't want to hear it. I'm just like, this is not me. But I think when it makes your butt clench, it's true. It's like, ah, shit, all right, okay, I got to come to terms with this, but it's just for today. You know, it's just this affirmation for today. So yeah. Oh,
hello. You're on the table. Hi.
Wow.
Yeah, that
beautiful
statement did
gray.
Not make my butt clench, so I think we're good.
So you're probably good.
Yeah.
You're comfortable.
I can ignore
it. You've been through it. You're good.
Okay. You want to read yours?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that looks good. Should we see how spicy it is?
Oh yes. Let's cheers.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
That's spicy, but a good spicy.
Yeah. Definitely jalapenos. 100%.
Hits the spot.
Yeah.
Some places are like, oh, it's spicy, and it's not spicy at all. This deserves another.
Yes.
Clink.
Wow. Hey, what's your sign?
I'm a Taurus.
Oh,
so
okay.
I know my 3 major ones, right? So Taurus Sun, which is what everyone always talks about, the Sun one. Taurus Moon, so double Taurus, and then something rising. I don't know what it's called. Something rising is the 3rd major one. And that's a Scorpio.
Wow, that's a very interesting mix.
I always get that. Like, I think it's interesting just to have 2 of the same, right? I think what they tell me is Tauruses are really grounding. So I like to think I'm grounded, but I'll tell you, like I'm working really hard, there's a lot of deadlines, I don't feel grounded at all.
That's okay. That's just like stress management. That doesn't have to do with your sign, right?
Yeah. And I don't know much about the Scorpio other than people say they're mysterious. I feel like I'm an open book. I don't know. Like, I don't feel very mysterious. Maybe I should be more mysterious just for fun. I don't know.
Isn't that like people are trying to do that? Like that's a trend right now of like,
to be mysterious?
I need to be like mysterious. Like you can't let people like know you or something. I don't know.
I wonder if it's a trend.
I'm Gen Z, but like not.
Yeah.
I'm like committed to it. You know.
You're like older Gen Z.
Yeah, I'm like technically a cusper, as they say.
I don't know if I'm a cusper. I think I'm older millennial though. I'm 84, and I think the cutoff was like 80 or something. So 80 is like where the millennials begin.
Yeah.
So I'm like up there. Yeah. I feel like a millennial, but you know what? I really like Gen Z. I feel like I can feel a lot of myself in Gen Z. What I like the most is just how more open, like every generation, like you just become more progressive, more open to the world and stuff. And I feel like I've always been that way my whole life as well. So happy to see that continue, you know. And y'all don't take any shit. I love that you're changing the game. Like you're changing the employment game, you know. Like no sir, you suck and I'm not going to work here or pay me, you know. And that's good. You don't just sit and take it, you know. Okay, so
I am also a double Sag, so
okay, moon and sun.
I think I like have to check every time, but I think I'm Sag moon, Sag sun, and like Pisces rising.
Oh, very cool. Okay, there you go. So we got the double going on.
Yeah,
I have a really great coworker, triple Pisces.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, she's amazing. She's wonderful. I love her. And I think what's funny is, like, I don't know, maybe she'll hear this one day. I think, you know, everyone has their protectiveness of themselves, right? Like, hey, you know, they're an adult, they're valid. Everyone has their, what is it called? Like, I'm tough, you know, like I'm out here, I'm living, I'm surviving, I'm enduring life. And then I feel like when I get with her one-on-one, we're just like in the office together, you start to see the soft side, you know? And that's Pisces. You see the the softness, but what am I saying? Like the empathy, the compassion. You know, it's in there, man. Pisces, there's no, it's bottomless. All that compassion and empathy. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Okay. Is this my horoscope? No, I have to like go find it somewhere.
No, that's it.
Oh, this is the one? Okay. Okay, so for Taurus today, for me, my horoscope says, when you become gentle with yourself, it becomes infinitely easier to be gentle with others. That's good. I think that it's like a tenth of butt pucker.
Just like a little pucker.
I think because recently, so GenderChill was just on November 17th, so it's done for the year. But leading up to it, of course, like the weeks and months leading up to it, it's a lot of work, you know. And I noticed that like if I overload my plate, I get stressed out. No one's ever called me like bitchy or anything, but like I don't have a lot of patience, you know. So it's been a couple weeks of decompressing, and I can tell I'm a different person. I'm just a lot more easygoing. I'm less stressed out. Like I can feel my body releasing itself too. Like my shoulders are coming down, you know. Like so, and also like the show was successful, y'all. That is official. But also like there's every year as an artist, you know, I don't want to be a perfectionist, but I think I lean that way. Like, you know, you always want it to be bigger and better next year. Like what's next that we can do and feel, you know. And I don't want to like immediately jump to that, you know. I want to definitely enjoy like where it's at right now. So
but this year was your third year, right?
The third year, yeah. So yeah, it's actually, to me, it's like I can't even believe it. Like third year, when I first did it at UM when I was in grad school in 2019, I had no idea that I'd even be doing it now, right? It was just kind of like what I would do. I was the president of Grad Out. It was just like the student event, but it just, you know, life happens and it became something bigger. And now I'm the owner. Like I have paperwork. It's an LLC now, you know, so I have a lot of plans, you know, for it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty magical.
So 2019, so the first one, was it spring or was it fall 2019?
I believe, I'm pretty sure it was, you're getting me here. I think it was spring. Yeah, because I also distinctly remember graduating in the fall. And of course it was just before COVID, like in 2020, right? Into March 2020. And I actually hurt my back as well. So I was kind of laid out for like 2 months. I couldn't get up or do anything. So I knew I wasn't hustling in the fall, right? Because I was up and about for my show. So it was probably spring. I think it was March.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to figure that out.
Well, I was curious because I moved to Florida in 2019 to start school at UM in the fall. My ex-girlfriend, I think you might know her because I think she was talking about like she'd been contacted about a fashion show that was like a part of the UM campus. Her name was
That's your ex-girlfriend?
Yeah.
I love
I did.
Yeah. I think it's fabulous. Are they a Pisces?
No, Gemini. Gemini. I had a lot of Geminis in my life at that time.
Geminis. Don't even get me started on that. No, we love Geminis. Wow, how amazing. Small world.
Yeah.
No, absolutely fabulous. I think needed to leave. If you go to our Instagram, you'll see that we've posted as a designer. And we took some really cool photos.
Oh yeah, I know. I remember the photos. That was her contact image in my phone because they were really, really good. And she made like a big deal about like getting a nice like haircut beforehand and everything. Yeah, those were some really good, really good photos.
I'm like part-time everything, part-time videographer, part-time photographer. Like I'm a project manager for this show.
I love it.
It's fun. I love it. And for some reason, I think couldn't make it. I don't remember why, but must have been school. I know very dedicated to architecture.
Yeah,
so something had come up.
She graduated that winter. Like, I guess like at the end of fall semester, she'd graduated. And then the pandemic and everything, and it was just it's a mess.
Wow.
So that was a fun time.
And there you go, small queer world, like it always is.
Very, very. Yeah. But it's like it's also really hard. I've noticed like to build hype for like a lot of the queer events around here. So I guess like you're more date based, correct?
Yeah, for now, and that's I'm happy to be that, but the idea is definitely to expand. there's nothing solid, but I have been invited to see about doing shows other places in Florida so far.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess I remember when I was in school, a lot of, or I guess I can't really like remember or pinpoint like a specific kind of like LGBT area like in Miami, like at like Miami-Dade County, but now that I'm up in Broward, it's like, you know, Oakland Park, Wilton Manors, like everything kind of happens around there, and I feel like a lot more connected.
Yeah.
So to hear that you've been successful is like amazing,
Yeah.
because I feel like I don't always like see that hype for a lot of the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I agree. I think back in the day, like in the 90s, early 2000s, it was South Beach. But from what I hear, I guess folks got priced out, and also a lot of complaints about the tourists. There's a lot of folks from around the world that aren't, you know, American or in progressive countries. And even half of America doesn't like queer folks, but, you know, tourists were not being great. And so they just moved up to Wilton. Yeah. And now that's where all the gays are. Well, majority, you know, cis gay, white gay men. Yeah. To be clear, I would like more like sapphic spaces for myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
But at least it's like a starting point there for sure. I definitely feel more comfortable walking down the street there than any other place. Yeah. I want to give a shout out to the folks at FIU at the Office of Social Justice, because if it wasn't for them, GenderChill may not have come back to life, right?
Yeah.
So COVID happened, right? I was just doing other things. I was exploring other avenues for my art. I do adventure travel videos. And they just hit me up. They're like, hey, we heard about your show from 2019, and we're wondering if, you know, you'd like to do it with us. And I was like, yeah, for sure. So we had this partnership. And I think a lot of the success is due to young people. So I always want to make sure to be inclusive of everyone. And of course, intersectionality, Kimberly Crenshaw, I believe, who like coined that term. It's just really big in those spaces, and I don't want to lose that type of mentality, that perspective, or that type of information, that awareness, that education that you might get in higher education, because I'm already a little older now, right? And you know, these folks are like 18 to 21, and they're burning hot with like activism. They're like, we gotta fix the world, and I'm like, yes, let's go. Because I don't know, I'm like newly older, and I'm a little tired.
My knees are aching.
My knees, my back. So it's cool to stay in touch with new adults, you know, young adults who have that burning passion and energy. And so I think that's why we were also so successful. There were so many young folks. We had all kinds of folks, like, and that's the intention, is to have a community event for everyone. But of course, who's going to be the biggest promoter and like energizer? Young folks, young queer folks, especially when it makes them feel really good. When it's a show where they feel seen, right? And these are comments that they've shared with me, that they felt so seen and they were so happy to have a safe space to be in. Yeah. And that's everything that I want. Like fun, queer, joyful space that's good for everybody, and especially young folks, because they're still kind of young, right? They're probably newly out of their parents' home, and they're exploring themselves and what type of queer they are. So it makes me happy, you know. That's part of the world piece that we're trying to build here. But I also want to say there were local entrepreneurs, local business owners, local leadership that was there, that participated, that were models, or they were performers, or just helping in the background. So it's not just for young college folks. Yeah. And actually, the next year we're not going to be at FIU. We have just decided to change it up. We love FIU. There will be some kind of connection, like definitely with the students at the very least. But I want to expand, right? So we're going to see where else we're going to put it. I don't know where, but I want to take it to another part of Miami for other folks to enjoy. Absolutely. And to bring in more people, and to just actually make it much larger. We had about 300 folks in the audience this past year, which was like the most that we've ever had. And I think we can do better, right? We can, well, not better, but just like more, right? Like we want to make it a really big, like festive thing. So, yeah.
Okay, I keep pitching this to everybody, but like, have you considered just becoming a part of Art Basel?
Yes. So also another part of this is becoming more in tune with what local fashion and big high fashion events are happening. Like I've never been, surprise to Miami Fashion Week, and now it's on my list, right? I will be at some Basel events. I don't know what they are or when, but I know we're in the middle of Art Basel Week right now. But for the future, absolutely, I want to be more involved in this. GenderChill has grown exponentially since 2019. That now this is my new, like, large project. It's my career. I made it into an actual LLC, so I'm committed. I'm here, and I'm glad. Like, it's like what we were talking about earlier. Like, the universe just kind of puts you in places, right? Like, full circle here. Like, it just said, "Here's GenderChill again. You're not gonna lose it." So I was doing a few other things. I've done 2 murals ever in my life. I wanted to do murals, but then GenderChill came up, and like other things. Like, you just kind of need money sometimes. So I'm a tour guide. I do kayaking tour guides at Olita Park. Like, I do random things, like, to keep in line with the adventure travel stuff. But that hasn't paid me much yet in those videos. So I'm just also following passions. I have several, and then following the ones that just seem to be going and also making me money, right? But I love them all, and I'll be able to do them all by the time I die at 100. Like, I'll get a lot of projects done. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing to hear.
Yeah.
So that, I guess, where did the initial inspiration for GenderChill come from? Because you mentioned that it was for a class, right? Like, you were given like an assignment prompt.
Yeah, but that wasn't the initial. I would say it was just, I was simultaneously working at the LGBTQ Student Center. And also a grad student, and it was just something that I thought we needed. And I was the president of Grad Out. Like, this is what I'm talking about. I put too much on my plate. I was tired, and I was like, all right, I'm already doing this. Let me get some credit. And they're wonderful over there, and I finagled it. And I believe the professor's name was Professor Butterman, so shout out to him. He was super cool. He was like, yeah, just write a paper on it, like, after. I'm like, perfect.
Okay, gotcha.
So that worked out. But like, in general, it's for more of my own background. Like, I've done events in the past. Like, when I was in undergrad many moons ago at UCF, I hosted 2 or 3 years of our big event there as the president of the queer group down there, or up there in Orlando, Diva Invasion. So I just like putting, shows on. I'm a kind of producer in that way. And so it just had been a while. It's been a couple years, and I just wanted to do it for myself, to feel it was like very social justice angle. But also it's for fun, right? It's so we can have something to do, and I don't know why it's fun to be like a masochist and like do a lot of this hard work, but I really enjoy it. Yeah. So
no, it's definitely a personality thing, because I even do feel like, man, I put a lot on my plate. Like, man, I've got a project at work right now that is just like pulling me down. But I'm like, you know what, I need to get this done, because this is something that I also like, really like to do. And then I ride horses like on top of this, and then like I try to like travel back to Maryland, like see my family, and it's like, I don't really know where I'm going with any of this, but I'm doing it like right now, and it's okay. You just kind of keep throwing spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. Exactly. Got like 4 things sticking, so like,
there you go. So then you follow through. Exactly. Very cool.
So you said, did you grow up like in the South Miami area?
Actually moved around a little bit, but mostly Kendall when I was much younger. So a lot of like grade school, like elementary, middle, and high school. I went to Killian High, and that's all of those 3 are in Kendall. So mostly where I grew up. I went to Miami-Dade College. Then I went to UCF in Orlando. Then I became a professional. I worked for the Human Rights Campaign and Equality Florida. And then I helped get one of our first openly gay elected state reps, Joe Saunders, elected. And then at about the end of 2015, I came home, and I was like, I need to do something different. And then I went
exhausting.
Politics is tough, let me tell you. If you think you can do it, try it out. I thought, and I'm just not that personality. But look at this, like, full circle. So now I'm doing my own social justice. It's not politics per se, obviously, but it's like still social justice. That's really what I care about. Label. Yeah, it's like under activism. And I was trying to get away from it. I was like, I want to be an artist, like, so hence murals and adventure travel and stuff. But I care. Like, I just love fun, artsy social justice. That's who I am. That's what I really enjoy.
But like, art is also political. Like,
absolutely.
For it to be relevant, like to the world, like, it inherently like pulls from people's experiences and opinions and viewpoints and all that. So like, you were kind of destined to be here.
Almost, right? Like, I just needed to get my pay my dues, I suppose, with like with like HRC and all that. So
you did like the corporate version of it.
I did
you need to do the next version.
The business owner version.
No, but that's great. Like, it's like almost like an expected shift from going from like politics and activism, which is like it's very you can burn out very quickly.
Oh yeah.
And I'm even noticing that a lot now, with discussions around like Palestine and Israel, and the way that, you know, social media kind of like inundates us like with, you know, issues constantly. Not to say that like we shouldn't be involved and we shouldn't be aware, but it is like very draining, and it's like very hard to manage like when you're right in the middle of it.
Absolutely. It is. A lot of folks burn out. That's literally what happened to me at the end of that part of my career, which is why I took that break and I came home to Miami in 2015. I think we are, in general, like, whoever is alive during the information age, as they say, we're the pioneers. We're trying to figure out how to pioneer through information. And we have, like, social media, we have emails, we just have, like, you know, easy access. We have Wi-Fi, you have a watch, you have an Apple Watch, you have an Apple phone, you have an iPad, you have a laptop, you have a desktop at home, you know, at work, like, you have it in your car, you know. So I think it's obvious. I think some people have figured out there has to be some kind of social media and just basically screen time, online time diet, because you can't be inundated all the time. Yeah. And I try, like, it's also, I'll admit, like, it's addicting. I like being on social media. It's fun. It's cool. There's cool stuff to see, but also there's the I'm so exhausted. I don't want to think about my life. Doom scrolling.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Just like I need to escape, and that's what I get to manage. I get to curb some of that, and how do I participate more healthily? Because also I'm a content creator, and how much? What am I going to put out there, and how much of it? You know, what's the impact going to be? So, yeah, I think all of us get to figure out how to manage that, because we're all the pioneers of that right now. You know, like, look at 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't YouTube or Twitter or even Facebook. I think, like, I don't know, I think that came out in 2006. There was no Uber or Lyft, like
no Uber Eats.
Oh, how do we live? You know, like, it's like before, like, when we first got phones and stuff, like, how do people live without Google Maps? And they're like, well, they wrote down directions. Yeah, like,
and it's like, it's so.
They asked somebody.
I think about, like, my childhood. That's why I like to say that I'm Gen Z. It feels a little bit weird because there's, like, definitely this disconnect between, like, anybody born from, like, 1996, like 2000, and anybody born, like, after 2000, where it's like, yeah, we're technically in the same generation, but, like, I actively remember, like, the first iPhone coming out. Like, I still used, like, CDs and floppy disks, like, when I was a kid, like, dial up, like, the way that I would lose the internet when the phone rang. Oh man. So it's like, I remember all of that, but it's like talking to somebody who's even, like, you know, 2 or 3 years younger than me. It's like a vastly different world experience. They're on, like, TikTok, and I, like, refuse to open the app.
I know, there's a lot of contention. I maybe I'm only realizing this. I'm not on it often, but I do I have had it for a while, and I use it as a tool for work. But I asked a couple of my models and general performers, the MC even, Kia Barnes, who was fabulous, who runs the Andro fashion show in Atlanta. She's not on TikTok. I was like, you're not on TikTok? She's like, no, it's just too much of a beast. I can't. And I'm like, wow, dude. And she hustles. She's a great performer. She does all kinds of things. She's also a comedian, so she's on stage, and I guess she doesn't need it. I mean, she seems quite successful, and she's not on TikTok. Like, it just seems to be this really big juggernaut, this scary monster that, like, who knows, you can get probably really sucked into that as well, like, maybe even more so. It almost feels like a little bit faster than, you know, on Instagram, because everything is just these, like, short form, like, video content. But I've noticed, like, across the board, like, not only, like, for, you know, myself, but also for, like, a lot of the other organizations that I follow and try to support, is, you know, getting engagement on social media is very hard, and I feel like that also contributes to, you know, the lack of reach, and then on top of it, just, you know, the lack of attendance, like, at a lot of these different events. And again, you know, I'm saying that as coming from, like, the Broward County perspective, and, like, that mostly being, you know, where I, you know, tend to engage, and also very much, like, more so, like, lesbian events, as opposed to things that are under just, like, you know, LGBT, the whole umbrella, or even ones that cater to gay men, which I would assume probably have, you know, a lot more attendance. Yeah, they do. They're just different demographics, different interests, different opportunities, different capabilities. Yeah, so it's a little different.
So what were you studying when you went back to school at UM?
Yes, Master of Arts in Liberal Studies.
Okay.
I was even struggling to understand like how that was going to be beneficial for me in my life, and I'm still, I think, figuring out like if it was worth it. But I think yes. I think overall in the end I always come to yes, because I think originally as it was intended to be is no matter what, you got the education.
Yeah.
So you can rest in that. And I did. I learned a lot. I met some great professors, some great people, and then I also like started GenderChill. Like, look where it's gotten me. But the degree itself, you know, and they sold it to me a lot. Like, I went to the department and did like the tour and all that.
Oh, this wasn't like a custom degree? Like, this is something specific they already had?
Yeah, this is...
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
like, you know, you can... Obviously, there's like certain classes you can choose from, but you can also, if you can justify it and assign it, get like assistance from the professor to like convince the directors, this, you know, writing 101 is related to liberal arts in this way, they'll let you take it. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's definitely less of like a how-to class. Like, it can't be exactly 101, because it can't be like, here are the steps on how to write. It has to be more of like critical thinking, like kind of like history, right? And learning from that. But again, they let me do GenderChill as a class.
Yeah.
So there's that. So they're pretty flexible. They're pretty cool. What I liked was, you know, I have all this creativity. I have a lot of, like, even just, I knew for myself, like, I'm an artist. I have project management skills. I'm in the political sphere. I need a little more creative outlet, and I also need to learn more about business. And so something that got me was in one of their, like, you know, featured commercials on their website was, I think it was like some high roller, one of the sharks from Shark Tank, Mark Cuban. He's like, I'm looking for people who have outside the box critical thinking degrees, which includes master or liberal arts in general. And I thought, that's cool. That's where I kind of flow, because sometimes it's hard for me to like just define myself or label myself this one thing.
Yeah.
And you might have seen this, and like I think we all kind of can identify with this now, more so our generation than before. We're a multitude of things.
Yes, very much.
We all wear several hats, and we're really passionate about every hat that we wear. And so I think that it lended to that, right? And I learned just a lot about, if I can sum it up, it's just like, it's kind of like a humanities degree. It's just like, here's how people think and work. And here's how you might want to understand folks and see how it works for you. There was a class called Spirituality and Education. It was amazing. It's kind of like in line with my social justice, like values and principles and ideals, where spirituality is just about feeling whole, like in a very general sense, right? And I would say I'm more spiritual than religious. I don't assign myself anything. But spiritually speaking, I care about the environment. You know, I care about my time. I care about self-care. I care about just like managing my time, and my life isn't only going to be my career. You know, I'm not a 1950s dad who 9 to 5 clocks in and out, you know, makes that bread, and my wife makes, you know, the dinner, you know.
And that's a very like one-dimensional like way of doing things, where like you pick the job, you do it for 50 years, you get your pension,
you get your watch, and your gold watch, and you're done. It's like, that's like you're saying, like we don't you see that idea like really being broken down, where like I feel like people are inherently like multifaceted, but society, you know, in like, you know, from like the beginning of the 1900s like all the way to probably like the 1990s, like early 1990s, was very much trying to box you in like as much as they possibly could. And like I hate this idea that because a certain degree isn't valuable in a capitalist society, that it's inherently like not valuable at all. Case in point, I actually did an episode with my brother. He's in med school right now. He did his undergrad in psychology, and then had a lot of like biology and like chemistry classes as a part of that. And he was saying that like if he could go back and change anything, that he would do his undergrad in something else, like something like he was saying that he finds that he has more well-rounded conversations with people who have backgrounds in like history, backgrounds in American studies, African American studies. You know, he has one friend that was in music, and like that's, my brother's like a big musician, like he that's what he would have gone back and done. And I just think
if I had the option to, if I knew more like about education, I would not have done an undergrad in architecture.
Right.
I don't know what I would have done, but I probably would have done something different, probably somewhere like, you know, in the line of humanities, just because I feel like sometimes, you know, when you're put then into, you know, for example, with architecture, I really want to be doing affordable housing. That's like my big thing. How can I effectively do that if I don't have the education, the context about the people who need that housing? You know, like that's where otherwise I'm having to rely so heavily on like another professional or something like that. And it just, I don't know, I feel like it creates
so much
gaps.
Sense.
You know?
It makes so much sense. And I think that's why there's such a gap in like almost every big systemic, you know, structure that we live in.
Yeah.
Because people don't understand each other.
Yeah.
Because we're very diverse. Americans, the world basically, is very diverse, and we're not going to understand each other. We don't have the same experiences. So get out there and learn.
Yeah.
You know, I guess we don't have enough systems that help us mix, ironically, which is so weird. I don't know why, but I think we're getting there. Like we're the generation that's definitely changing stuff up. Yeah. Because now we get to be this. Like we get to have all these hats. Where would we be 50 years ago? Not here. Not at Pinch.
Oh no.
Drinking
spicy tequila
on a Thursday at 2 p.m. in Miami, making a podcast. Like we would not be here at all.
Yeah. You know, so. I joke that I did not day drink before I started working at this place. Times have changed for sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, you wouldn't believe like how many architects I run into who are fully in the profession who complain about ADA requirements.
Oh.
And I'm just like,
wow. Why though? Like, is it because it interferes with their artistic endeavors, or
sometimes it's like, oh, I need to put this ramp here, but there's like a I don't know, like a 15-foot difference between the ground and where my building starts because I wanted to have this floating effect, and now you want me to put a ramp? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Or like, there was definitely this trend of mixed income like apartment buildings where you would have like a certain set was dedicated to low income and then a certain set was dedicated to market rate, but they had separate entrances. You still see a lot of these buildings in New York, actually. Oh. They're older at this point, not old, but a little older, but definitely like seeing us like move away from like those types of ideas.
Okay. Yeah. That I hear you. Like it's sad, you know, like. Yeah, I mean, I'm not in it. I don't want to judge, but I'm judging for sure. No,
you can judge. You can judge. But that's what I'm saying. It's like to your point that like the humanities have a value beyond just like making money. Like
yes, exactly. I think a lot of folks just also, I don't know if the word is tricked. I mean, we're all just told, most of us, you know, for a good life, get good grades in grade school, most likely go to college. Pick a profession, and there you go. Yeah. But like, as you become an adult and you realize that life is not that black and white. Yeah. It's actually terribly gray, which is a good thing, I think. So, I don't know why the world is backwards, and it is tremendously. But it's like another element of proof of how it's backwards, that like humanities isn't appreciated as much. Yeah. They just want workers. So get that business degree, you know.
Which is funny because then you think about it too. When we as a society you put like a lot of value on like the Greeks and like their ideas about democracy and all these different things, and it's like we idolize this society of thinkers. We even idolize their architecture and bring it, you know, into our own politics and the way that we like represent our country, and yet we demonize people who want to be like those thinkers and who want to like present like new ideas. It's just like a very weird dichotomy.
It sure is. It's a part of like, I think it's like the power dynamic. I think those at the very top understand that people aren't stupid, but if you put them in a corner, if you limit their options, their opportunities, then they're just going to get frustrated and tired, and there's not much. They kind of know there's like a limit to what they can do in an amount of space and time. You know, I think that I can do a lot in my whole lifetime. But right now, I'm not like ideally everywhere I want to be. I'm pretty content, but yeah, like there's these systems for a reason, and it's about just more power over people, you know, like not power for people. Yeah.
It's like, how can you fight the system when rent's due?
Yeah, when you're busy like hustling to feed your kids, or you know, you have some medical condition, which a lot of us do. You know, so yeah, it's I don't think it's by accident, but but somehow small things like getting a humanities humanities degree is out there. You can still try to figure it out. Yeah.
So then okay, identity wise, I guess like sexuality, gender, like where do you feel like you sit?
So you're asking me my labels, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, like how would you describe yourself? How would you identify?
Yeah. And it definitely, some parts I think stay the same, some parts like fluctuate. And I think for that reason, in my head, and also like language changes often.
Absolutely.
And a lot faster than it did back in like the early 2000s. I just like to say queer as like an umbrella because it does fluctuate. I would say I am more in like the sapphic. I'm interested in sapphic spaces because I was assigned female at birth, but I definitely feel trans as well. I come off, I feel good when I feel like a mix of both, which is why I'm like, my pronouns are he and she, but I also include they because I also feel like it's like the activism of it, of saying like I reject those binaries. But then there also is this like, but it does exist. So some days I feel more feminine, some days I feel more masculine, and I kind of want to honor those as well. So it's just easier to say like those three, or it just feels more fitting, I would say. And then it's easier to say queer, right? Like so queer is just like the umbrella, just to like, you know, let people know like I'm gay as fuck, just so you know I am queer as fuck. But in this instance, like we can get into the weeds, you know, like I've been doing a lot of spiritual stuff lately, and I took a lot of mushrooms this one time with my friend who's a shaman. I don't know if have you done mushrooms?
A couple times, yeah.
Yeah, they can be fun, right? I like to microdose as well. But this one time we did what's called a heroic dose.
Isn't that like the really, really big one?
It's like, yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly how much I forgot. I think it was like 5 grams, 6 grams. It's a terrible amount. I don't recommend it unless you're supervised by somebody like serious.
Yeah.
And thankfully, my friend who I trusted, shaman, so it all worked out. I'm still here. But it was tough. It was a tough one. But we made sure to make a point when I was in the middle of it. So I was very in the middle of the journey and very high to ask that question, like, what if I'm trans, and what maybe type of trans, or what degree, right, of the what do they call it, the spectrum. And I still said it. I was like, I'm very much both. Yeah. So I stick to that. Like, I feel like both my soul, my personality, my character, my body even just tells me, and how it just naturally feels. Like I remember being a kid as well, and people asking me, are you a girl or a boy? And in my head, I'd get a little angry as a kid. But now, I'll tell kids. Some kids will come up to me, like, are you a girl or a boy? I'm like, I'm a little bit of both. And they're like, why? I'm like, I don't know. That's just how God made me. You know? And that's it. And it seems to work.
No, and I take kind of like the exact same approach. Like, I mean, I just use the word lesbian, but that's kind of like both the sexuality and the gender. Like it's all kind of like wrapped into it. Because like, it's like I can sit down and think about it, but there's no other word that really makes sense or works. So I'm just like, okay, this gets the point across. yeah,
definitely. Yeah. But I like that over time, and especially like younger millennials and Gen Z. You know, there's a new generation coming out. They're like 12 now. They're like Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear more about what they have to say.
They're on TikTok.
They're on TikTok for sure. Yeah, I'll find them. But I like that. When I was growing up in high school, like that was I graduated 2002, so I'm up there. I'm getting old.
It was 4 years old, and
yeah, you were a baby.
I think I graduated pre-K in 2002.
Okay, cool. Oh my god. There wasn't much. It was LGBTQ and not even Q. To be honest with you, it was just maybe even just gay was the umbrella word, right? Yeah. So these days there's like 20 flags. I can't even identify them for you. I can identify like 5 of them, but not all of them. But I think that's great. And intersex is becoming a bigger. Well, it's always been around, right? We've all been around, but it's become a bigger issue, which is good, like a more well-known topic. Yeah, I'm just, the point is, I'm really happy for that, and I think the more time progresses, like the more of us, you know, there's more of us than like the old folks who are like super conservative, you know, like, fortunately, you know, it's natural causes hopefully, but like they're dying out, you know, like it's just the way of the world, and it makes more space for more creativity, more I think more proof, more like actuality of what human beings really are, which are multitudes again. Like we're vast, we're unlimited, and right now we're only limited to our imagination and the language that we have. We will come up with other language, right? For what we feel. Like, that's normal human life. Like, Shakespeare's language is not today's language. We're gonna figure something out. You know, we're gonna make it happen. So that's the cool thing about being gay, I think, is we also get to go on the journey and define a few things, and also just see what pops up, like where universe / God or whatever leads us, which is pretty cool, I think.
I think that's also where, like, generation wise, I think I deviate, is because I see kind of like the LGBTQIA plus. And I sometimes I think, like, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Do we need to describe, like, every single micro experience, or it's almost like it's trying so hard to be inclusive, where you could just say queer, or you could just say, you know, LGBT plus, and say, like, hey, you're all included in this. And it almost feels like a little bit more radical, like, to be, like, really aggressive about it and say, like, this is an overarching term that includes this person and this person and this person and this person. Because I think historically you saw that separation between LG and BT. We even started at some point with GLBT.
Yeah,
and it was switched.
Yeah, it changed.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I'm very passionate on that side of it too, because I also, like, you know, I don't want people to feel like, again, like they have to define every single aspect of their identity. That's why I asked you, like, what's the language that you want to use that like feels the most comfortable?
Yeah. Oh no, I hear that. Again, like, for me at this moment, it's just saying the word queer for like orientation and gender expression and identity. And yeah, if you want to get, like, into the nitty gritty, I'll tell you exactly how I feel. But out in public in general, I'll tell you my pronouns and that I'm queer, and that's pretty much it. Because there's a lot of us, and the alphabet gets big, you know. So queer and trans, you know. So people, I don't know, kind of get it. That's where I like to live in, like the queer and trans area.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So then, when you did the second iteration of GenderChill, so this was after you graduated. Was this also, what year was that? Was it post-pandemic?
Yes, it was actually in 2022, so it was just about a year ago. Yeah.
So how, it's like, what got you back into it? Like, how did that come to be?
So the Office of Social Justice, the folks there, Erica and Indy, the exact people who work there, they just called me up. They're like, hey, we know you did this really cool show, and we need a show here. We want to do something for Transgender Day of Remembrance, and we want a big event to get the students, you know, involved and excited, and the community excited. Do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I knew that they, you know, have project management experience, that our, you know, values align, and frankly, it was dead, right? Like, I wasn't in that avenue, and there wasn't any capital for it, and it's a big university, and they have a budget for it, right? Their office. So I was like, great, you have the money, let's go for it. You know, and we did do, you know, everything you need to do, like ask for more money, you know, because you got to put on this big show, get the community involved. But that was pretty much it. I'm eternally grateful for them. They definitely changed my life, you know, because I wasn't expecting it at all. They called me out of nowhere. I was literally just, I think, working on a mural or something, and they're like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. What are you doing? Like, why are you calling me? So really glad that they thought of me, and we got 2 really beautiful years down.
Wow, that's amazing. Like, that's so validating, though. Like, to, like, twice people reach out and be like, hey, we see this, we see what you're doing, we love it, we want to continue with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was like, I think the first time that I felt pretty, you know, validated, affirmed, because no one's ever, like, sought me out like that, right? Like, that's, like, I don't know, different higher level shit, you know, like, actors, there's a difference between, like, maybe D-list actors and A-list actors. Like, either you got to keep hustling for those auditions, or they call you, right? So I felt pretty cool that day.
You are very cool.
Thank you. I mean, so are you. I'm digging the whole thing too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
because I was hoping that we could have videos. So I was hoping we'd be at a library, so I was like, oh, this is a very, like, librarian outfit.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
like,
true. And you got the orange going, and I got a little bit of orange. Not the same orange, but I got some orange.
It's okay. Fall colors.
Yeah. Yeah, fall colors.
So what did it look like? Okay, how was it, like, organizing it, like, outside of the school perspective? Because I would argue trying to do anything like that when you're in school and when you're a student and they have all these student resources and they know that they can profit off you at the end of the day, they're like, ooh, here you go, here's money, here's, you know, an advisor, here's space, here's all this stuff. What was it like trying to do that, you know, honestly, like, as a professional, as, like, your own, you know, nonprofit?
Well, be honest, like it's kind of like the in between, right? Because they are a university. They're a state funded. They're not private, but it was kind of similar. We still needed to raise some money from outside, which we did for sure. But like the venue was the ballroom at FIU, right? So that was easy, right? The office has its own budget, so that was a couple grand right there, right? So it was similar. Of course, they did all the work. I don't work for FIU. I'm not a student, so I can't really reach out to those folks, but they did it. They reached out to other departments, and they donated money, so that part was easy for sure. Getting people outside of FIU was my job. And yeah, that can be a little challenging when you're invited to start this up out of the blue again. So I was out of practice. I was also busy working, just trying to make money. Like I didn't make any money last year. I'll say I made very little money because they did offer me money, but most of it went right back into GenderChill. So yeah, like it's definitely a project of passion, because when you're not making money and then, you're not making it off the project, but you're putting a lot of hours in the project, and then you're also an adult trying to make regular money to pay bills. Yeah, that can be challenging for sure. Yeah, but it's just a season of the year, and it was worth it to me, obviously. Of course. But the nice thing about it was being able to get back into the community, because I took advantage of the what do they call it? The pandemic, but like the where you got to stay inside. I like that. I like to use that word. What? I get the lockdown or something. I don't know. Yeah. Quarantine? I don't want to call the quarantine. I guess it's all negative sounding, right? I'm privileged enough where I got to stay with my mom, and my brother was in and out, and so I got to stay with family, and I just recuperated from life. I did a lot of therapy. I went to a really cool training called the gratitude training. It's like personal professional training for adults. And so I really enjoyed being kind of like a hermit, because I got to ground myself and get to know myself, and then start this new line of work of adventure travel and murals and stuff. And then I realized wow, I haven't talked to anybody in the community in 2 years just about. And so it was cool to get back out there and see who else is out there, what's going on. And that's also how I got connected with the Reflect Collective. It's a group that I'm now on the board for. Awesome. Yeah, I've heard of them before. That's great. They're very cool. Also, young folks, mainly from FIU. Some are not students anymore. And it's a nonprofit, an official nonprofit that supports queer and trans people of color who are survivors of sexual and domestic assault, of which I am one. I don't think it's a requirement to be on the board to have that, but it's obviously very helpful so we understand each other and help folks in those needs. So I jumped into that. I was like, I need that on my resume. Plus, these folks are cool, so I want to do this work. So, yeah, that was just the experience of being this adult who was super not who used to be super in the queer world and all the queer activism and social justice, and then didn't and stopped doing that and was traveling the world for a couple years thanks to quarantine, and then jumping right back in. And it's a kind of affirmation, but there's a space for me here. Absolutely. Yeah. This is where I belong. I care enough, and I'm good at what I do. Let me be here. Yeah. But I got to get back out there. I want to travel more. I still love that too. I love doing murals, but I've only done 2. I don't have thousands I'd love all around the world, but I do have some. No, I definitely feel that is trying to kind of re-enter the community, because I think prior to moving here, I didn't even really have a great community up in DC. I had my friends from school, but I wasn't super active locally. And then moving here for the first 3 years, it was kind of the same scenario, 3 or 4 years, because I didn't start this podcast until August of this year. Cool. And I didn't really start going outside until June or July. That's so funny. Because I really, grad school was rough. It was an experience that I think I'll eventually talk about on this platform. But finishing grad school, I was super burnt out. I was super depressed. It takes a lot out of you. Yeah, it was I think almost 2 full years of me trying to telling myself I need to go out and just make friends. And final catalyst for me was that when I broke up with my ex, that was October of last year. I got on dating apps and I was trying to date but also make friends. But it's neither of those were really working out. It just
it was like kind of weird.
Sure, yeah.
But I did make one friend who initially was co-hosting this podcast with me, Pal. And it's just like through talking with them that I was like, okay, this is a very like common experience, like this feeling of like loneliness in adulthood, but it doesn't mean that like that's just kind of how it has to be. So like I made a point and I was like, no, I'm going out, like I'm meeting people, like I want to be involved, and then kind of stepping into like this much more like public platform, like I have to like hype myself out to like reach out to people.
Yes,
like,
absolutely. Yeah.
It's very new. Like I've really never done anything like this before, but yeah, I feel
you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You're following your heart.
Thank you. So you, for next year, will you be at FIU again with GenderChill?
No.
Okay.
We have decided to separate our ways. Like they're wonderful folks. I let them know like I just really wanted to have full say because it was originally my baby, and I appreciate them. Like they did a lot for me, so big props to them. They did a great job. We just did 2 great shows right in the last 2 years, so they know what they're doing. I just felt like as an artist, I experience it as wanting to see things differently and bigger for me, and just that more aligns with my immediate like challenges that I'm going through, like as a person, as a human, spiritually, whatever. And that obviously it's not a bad thing, but that doesn't matter to them, and that's okay. But it matters to me, and I want it to come out in my art. And so it's different when you have like this like really businessy partnership with like a university. So I just don't want to do that with them anymore. Next year I'm going to be running it myself. Of course, I'll be having support. I also work for Trans Social. They're a videographer, and they're like the best trans organization in my opinion. They're great folks. They're really in tune with like what the community needs. They're very compassionate. They have empathy. They're small. They take the appropriate steps, slow as they might be, but to get the appropriate work done for all types of services for trans folks. So I just like their more like down to earth approach. They're very approachable people, and they just, to me, do whatever is sensible to get things done. And so now that I have worked with them for a few months, we talked about it, and they'll be helping with GenderChill as well. So there'll be some type of partnership, but of course I'll be running the show. GenderChill is also a fundraiser. So every year we find a small organization that maybe has just started so that they could get some exposure and some money. So that's another aspect of that as well. But we haven't done Trans Social yet. First year was P-Flag South Miami. Second year was the Mackenzie Project. Third year, this past year, was the Reflect Collective, which I'm on the board for. So I feel like I've always wanted to do Trans Social, and it might just like go straight to them, because it's going to be this like new experimental thing where I'm going to be a business and they're a nonprofit, and how can we work together and show ethical capitalism, in tandem with an actual nonprofit community organization that kicks butt, right? So that's the new idea that we're throwing out there, and hopefully raise some money to help them out, because technically they're still quite small. There's only like 5 employees, and Morgan and Ashley don't get paid, right? I believe. I don't quote me on that, but I think that's how it's working, so that they can pay other folks to help with the services. So it's really incredible. Like it's their baby to have Trans Social, and they're changing the world. Like it's a beautiful thing. So I want to help them out.
Again, Art Basel.
Yeah, Art Basel. I gotta get into it. If I need to do like
a seance or something.
Where should I go? Tell me.
Well, okay, I actually
it's just started.
Yes. So I originally, one of my older guests, Semi, she is a photographer. She did beautiful photography. So we were talking about maybe partnering in something to do for Art Basel, and I just didn't realize that like you don't just get in. I was googling like where do I sign up, like But I just got an email today actually from Art Miami. They have like a list of who their galleries are. Have you been to like any like Art Basel?
I have, like not in the like proper like convention center, but yes, I've Art Baseled before. Random places I couldn't tell you, like Wynwood and wherever else, the design district, stuff like that. But I haven't been inside the convention center, which I think is something I'd really like to experience this year at the very least.
So I went to the only event that I've been to before is Art Miami, which is just they basically, it's like some giant, like, I don't know, warehouse, not warehouse, is not the right word, like a tent. Like they set up like a huge tent. It's, you know, climate controlled, and then they have like a bunch of galleries that will have their different like sections, like as you walk in. It's huge, it's massive. Cool. Like there's a ton of galleries. I just got my email from them like for this year, since obviously they're keeping my data, but they actually have a link to like all the galleries that are a part of it. So I think it's like you can submit to those individual galleries just to say like, hey, I want my work like up on your wall, and then, you know, they can take it, and if they decide to be an Art Basel, they can put your work up. I think last year there was definitely at least like one gallery that specifically had like Keith Haring paintings. It's really up to the individual gallery, but again, like that's specific to like the Art Miami thing. There is an art walk that I actually have a couple of friends that are part of.
Cool.
There is there's a Thou Art Women gallery. That's what it's called. It's like an exhibition that's up in Fort Lauderdale next week, actually. It's free if you want to come. Okay. But yeah, I've been saving a lot of stuff recently because I was supposed to do announcements at the start of this episode, but whatever. I set up, like, I try to use my platform. A big part of it is like hyping up like different events that are happening in the area that are LGBT focused. So right now I have like a lot of Art Basel stuff that I've been sharing. So those are like the two like big events that, you know, I'm 100% like going to.
Okay.
But
awesome.
let me see what the gallery list is. Like maybe there's something that could, even like for your murals, like that could be like framed and put up. I don't know. You probably have to have like something a little more avant-garde to do GenderChill or Miami Fashion Week.
Yes.
And just do it that way.
Yeah, I have to get into, again, like, this has all come, like, really quickly, and I just only got the LLC to own this business, so now I'm ready to, like, get into things, and it's just as Art Basel is, like, I'm still decompressing from my show. You know? Like, and now I gotta jump into this, but that's fine. I was wondering, actually, I've been asking around, and I think I might know your answer, but is there a queer section of Art Basel?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that it should be. I don't.
It's funny. I run into that almost with the Keith Haring stuff.
Right.
It's so. It almost feels like a little bit uncomfortable to know that his work is considered this like very high, like expensive art, and it's like this is a man who literally like was making art on his deathbed as he was dying of AIDS. I feel like that aspect definitely gets lost,
right,
from like an art collector.
It's just the hype, you know. And as the years go on, it gets more valuable, things like that. I would like for there to be some sort of very specific, because again, social justice. Like, I'm glad Art Basel exists, nothing wrong with it, but what if we think about adding a queer night, queer section for all the nights? I don't know, that'd be really cool. And at this point I have to pick and choose. Like, I don't make a lot of time for my art. I have like 2 small pieces. They're okay. Like, I'm proud of them, but they're terribly small, and they're only 2. My murals are on walls, right? One's in Hawaii, one's in Fort Lauderdale. So thinking about how to get into Art Basel is another challenge, but I think I would choose GenderChill. Like, now that's like my driving goal. So I'd have to, I don't know, maybe the queer night can be a fashion show. Like some cute smaller version of it,
because it's like you can literally just host it like during like this
I
time of
can
year
start
too,
to learn how to
say,
be an
like,
MC.
oh, it's a part, you know.
I gotta figure out how to do that. But I would love to. It makes sense, right? It's about expressing oneself, and it's art. So
okay. What advice would you give to somebody who is kind of like thinking about going down the road that you are, like somebody who wants to do events and, you know, be active, like socially active in the community? Like, what would you say is like step 1?
Wow, that's so cool to be asked that question. First of all, how did I get here to be asked that question? My first event I ever did was in undergrad. So I was a little kid, right? I'm trying to recollect. I just wanted to have a show. I didn't have a particular lane. Of course, we had a team. I was with my group, like the queer student group, and we all just kind of got together and said, here's what we want, here's what we know, and then we'll ask, you know, the admins and professors, like however else we need to get this done. if you don't go to college, like that, I think you could still do that. Just ask the people that you know, everyone you know, your neighbors, your mail person, like, here's this idea and I don't know how to start, but you can Google it as well, just like any thoughts, questions that you have, and then start collecting the idea of like how to move forward. I think that's pretty much like how I did it. I was never trained. I didn't take project management class or any of that. I think like probably everything, and to me it might sound a little cliche because I listen to a lot of like audiobooks and self-help podcasts and stuff like that, so it's a lot in my mind. But like if it's in your heart, you have the passion, you'll find a way, right? So you just, that's like step one, is that you know you got this idea, so go like make that idea grow, you know, and go from there. And of course reach out to the folks that you know the most, right? Your parents, your friends, teachers, stuff like that, community members, and they can also point you in directions if they don't know the answer. And now, like, I mean, hey, we're all in the information age. Like, there's so, like, life is hard for sure, but I think I'd rather live in this information age.
Yeah.
Because we have so much knowledge, free knowledge. Like, I'm on YouTube constantly. Like, I'm sort of 2 years into being a new videographer. I Google YouTube or Google everything. Like, how do I save this large file? Like, because it's not loading right now.
PDFcompression.com.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of ways for sure. Yeah. And you can email me. You can reach out to GenderChill on IG. It's at GenderChill. So you know, I'll help out. Yeah.
I will say, I guess, like, my answer to that question, or not really an answer, but you know, a thought is like, I have not encountered like even a drop of negativity like since I have started this podcast.
God.
Except from myself. And like, but like, and like me being hard on myself and like the imposter syndrome and the doubt. But it's like everybody that I talk to is like, this sounds really cool. I would love to be involved. Like, how do I, you know, can I come on? Can I do an episode? Like, how do I support? Like, oh, I would love to talk to you. Like, it's amazing. There's actually, oh my God, this architect who I added on LinkedIn, like, months ago, because she came out with a book called Out in Architecture, which is, you know, about, you know, the overlap between like queerness and architecture. And I think I just like responded to her Instagram story and was like, oh, you know, like, this is really cool, like, see what you're doing. And she's like, you want to talk sometime? And I was like, what? But like, she's like out in Atlanta, so it's like, you know, there's like this option to even like travel and like do like, you know, bigger things with it that like, you know, again, like 6 months ago, I wouldn't have even been able to guess, you know, that it was going to get to this point. So it's like it's exciting. Like, I would encourage anybody, like you're saying, like, if you just want to do it, just do it. Like, just
go out and do it.
Just, like, tell people, talk about it. Like, you'll find like the people who you need to find in order to get it done. Yeah,
look at you. Absolutely. 3 years or 2 months, or a few months. Yeah, it's just about having the want. Like, is that your end goal? Like, what do you fill your time with, you know? And definitely, I have a lot of, you know, insecurities. I'm always like, but what about this and that? And I try to calm myself down and oh no, shade. We love everybody. I love everybody. But I think that's half the battle too, because I've definitely had moments, like months, where I won't move, you know, like I have like, you know, I wouldn't say it's clinical, but like, I've got my depression. I go to therapy for depression, anxiety, PTSD. A lot of traumas when I was a kid. You just manage yourself, like, do that self-care, and the negativity starts to quiet down. Surround yourself with other people who might want to do this project. They are out there. People are out there, and they'll help you. Like, this woman was just like, hey, do you want to hang out? You want to talk? Like, that'll happen. It will, guaranteed. You just have to keep going, and they'll pop up. You know, I'm like, look at us. Look at us here.
Just
you know?
here.
We just reached out. I think I reached out to you. I was like, hey, do you want to cross promote? I think that's how it started.
I think I saw. Oh, because you sent a message. In like the soccer group chat.
That's right. That's right.
And I was like, oh, this seems like really interesting. Let me like check this out. And then I don't know. I sent you a message or something.
It was for She Life Soccer.
I'm trying to get Natalie on. If you hear this,
all right, Natalie,
text me back.
We're asking you to be next, right after me. Okay. Let's go. We need more community members up here. Yeah. It takes a family.
I love She Life, because I haven't played soccer in like years, and then like going out there and but I did that other week I got like yelled at twice, so I'm still really salty about that.
What? Yelled at?
Because I was just told that I was playing too rough. So there was this chick who, like, I gotta rewind to like my childhood trauma.
Okay.
So
Yes, go.
I played soccer when I was a kid, and because like every African parent, like every African and Caribbean parent thinks that their kid is going to be like the next like soccer superstar, and if by age 10 you haven't made it to some sort of like regional or national level, it's like, okay, you got to be a doctor or an engineer. Like those are the three options like in an immigrant household.
Intense.
Yeah,
it's intense.
So my parents, they did their best. Did not work out with any children.
Any of those.
My dad, I don't know how my dad made it through my soccer career, like never getting carded, because he was so aggressive, and he would tell me to be aggressive. But I have asthma, so I can't play offense. I wear out like super quickly.
Gotcha.
So I would play defense.
Yeah.
Oh,
man,
I was really
nasty back there.
Oh, very
absolutely,
aggressive. Very, very aggressive.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
I did goalie for a while too. I was not afraid of getting my teeth knocked out. I would like jump. If you were in my box, the ball was mine.
I
like,
believe it. I'm feeling it.
Shot from like 30 feet out.
If anybody was here, I feel it. I see it in your face. You're like, yes, bitch. I'm the goal. I'm the keeper.
Yeah.
I can't relate to that. I was always the forward. Any of the forward positions. I love to run. I love to score, but I am terrified of getting hit in the face. Not when I'm out in the field, but like when I'm, because I've done keeper for like small games, like whatever. Yeah. But I don't like it. And it hurts my hands. Putting my hands out there, even with gloves, it stings my hands. I don't like volleyball. My hands are sensitive. I can't do it.
I feel like as I get older, and now that I just turned 26, so like I'm not on my parents' health insurance anymore. I cannot
get out of here.
Put the same risks.
All right, wait till you get to reach 40. All right, talk to me when you get to 40.
Wait, have you reached 40?
I'll be 40 in April.
Okay, you're not even there yet, so like you can't tell me. You can't talk about it.
All right, I got a couple more months and just enjoy the being in my 30s.
Yeah. I got yelled at for being aggressive. Not yelled, but like she had a little bit of an attitude with me.
Oh, okay.
But like the thing is, I tripped and I like tumbled, but like I got myself up like super quickly. Okay. So I was fine. Like I got like a little scrape.
That was recent, huh?
Yeah, this was
wow.
It was like a month and a half ago.
Oh wow.
And this chick was like, oh, like you need to be careful. Like we don't want anybody getting hurt out here. And I'm just like, I have been injured more from going and running 6 miles than I have in a single game out here. Like it's fine.
No, I've played a couple years ago. We obviously weren't in the same game.
Yeah.
I hurt my foot, so it's been like a year and a half, and I'm still working on my foot.
But just like come out, just like come hang out.
I guess so.
Blow the whistle for Jackie.
I feel bad. For Jackie, you got to come on next year. You're the next one.
Yes.
But those games are fun, and I like actually getting like really down and dirty. Like they have been really sprightly sometimes. Like it's some girls are very talented and amazing.
Yes.
I was in a game, I don't know the girl's name. She was also like 19, 20, smoking everybody. She was on my team. She scored like 10 times in like an hour. And it's like, all right, like you need to leave for a moment so we can all like kind of enjoy it, but talented. And she was like, I was on my like teams, like I'm in her college or something. She was like star player. I'm like, good, I can see that. That's great.
Yeah.
But it was too quick, right? And so I was thinking like, when are we gonna like slide and like tackle and stuff like that? Like I'm into that too. I know like professionally speaking, they don't allow that kind of stuff, but that's kind of what's fun about these like, just like, community games, community pickup games, like you're allowed to be a little more aggressive, So.
That was my thing. They're like, oh, like they label it as like a friendly match, but then I'm like, the skill levels vary greatly here. I don't know if this could be considered
for sure.
friendly. Also, I want to win.
Sometimes there are like some competitive games out there, but you should ask Jackie for that. So you should probably go there. I can feel it off you. You're like, I gotta get back out there.
I haven't been in like a couple weeks. I think like before Thanksgiving I tried to go, but then like my work schedule has just been like super intense. So I haven't been in a while, but I'm trying to get maybe like next week or the week after. I'll probably get back out there.
Cool, good, no, it's great. She Life, they do a good job of putting these games together.
And hey, they got us to this point.
Look at that. I'm glad they let me like advertise once a year for
I've been like thinking about dropping the podcast in there, but I don't want to.
No, do it. Be aggressive, like you are on the field.
Okay, thanks, Dad.
You're welcome.
I think I probably should get back to my actual job.
Okay.
As much as it pains me.
Oh, yeah.
And I do actually need to eat lunch. I'm very hungry.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I am looking forward to like a part 2.
Yes.
Just to touch on like announcements wise that I completely forgot at the start of this episode. I did add a highlight to my Instagram page that shows like what the events are like per month. I'm probably going to keep up like 2 months at a time. So like I'll keep up December like while I'm still like putting together like things for January, and then February I'll take down December and I'll keep up January, if that makes sense. It was just easier to do that than doing like a calendar or something. Like it's super accessible. Like anybody can see an Instagram story. It's a public account. Thank you, Jess.
Absolutely.
So much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Where can people find you, connect with you?
There's 2 spaces, like primarily just at GenderChill, GenderChill on Instagram, and then if you want to check out my personal page, has some like adventure travel stuff on there. It's at Jess Osborn, JessOsborn.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If you want to follow me, I am on Instagram at bottumsup.pod. That's bottoms with a U, up.pod. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and I will catch you in the next episode.